Welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. Guys, it's the day after the day after. On a Monday here on Labor Day, usually we go live on a Sunday, but with most people having off today for Labor Day, including myself, I figured, you know what, let everybody enjoy their Sundays. And also, too, plenty of good college football games on in the ACC, taking care of business with Miami beating Notre Dame at home. Quite an environment down in Miami. Something they haven't seen in a while, and the U looks like it's brought back to some type of a return as they get a top 10 win against Notre Dame. This tonight, another game's on here tonight, so I'll be going live a little bit earlier. We're here early tonight, going live now because North Carolina and Bill Belichick take on the Horned Frogs of TCU over on ESPN at 7:30. So if you didn't know, they're playing tonight at 7:30. So wanted to get this in here tonight and plenty of different topics to go over. Obviously, the breakdown. Pitt dominates Duquesne, as we all imagine. We all talked about it beforehand. But Pitt dominates Duquesne 61-9. There were a lot of good things. There were some bad things that I looked at when I looked at the tape. Plenty of different corrections. You make your biggest corrections from week 1 to week 2. Pat Narduzzi certainly talks about that. We'll go over that tonight, what I thought was really good, what I thought needs corrected, and what I wanted to see more improvements from, and what I will certainly be looking for in week 2, because these first 2 weeks are really finding out who you're going to play in those first 2 weeks of this college football season, and then prepared for week 3 when you face your first Power 4 opponent, which is the Backyard Brawl and the West Virginia Mountaineers. But guys, if you have not done so, if you're over on X, Facebook, head over to YouTube, hit the like button down below. Questions will be flowing in here tonight. If you want to get your question read above everybody else's, make a small donation to the pod, and we'll be able to get it up on the screen. As always, you guys know the show is sponsored by Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Always a great collaboration. This time a little bit different. The Happy Dads, they come out with the fruit punch flavor. Certainly something different. Colonial Beer certainly has everything that you need there. I stopped down there before I went down to the tailgate, got everything that I needed. One of those things I got was the Happy Dad. I had to try something different here. We'll be cracking open a beer here tonight. Hopefully you guys join me in doing so. But tremendous people. Bill and Alan are truly just two of the greatest small business owners down here in Pittsburgh and Bethel Park. They also have great customer service with the great people that work there as well. But anytime you can help out a small business and help out two great individual Pitt men who are season ticket holders, Alliance 412 members, and Athletic Director Fund members as well, it's always good to help them out. Make sure you go see Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. And we're actually going to crack this open here right now. Obviously, got to enjoy a nice cold beer after a win, especially. So, oh, yeah. Gluten-free, it's good. Not a beer guy, but heck, that's not bad. 100 calories, not bad. Next up, the show is also sponsored by Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson. Call them at 724-799-8404 or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. Again, Brian Thompson, myself, we all sit in the same section up in the club area above the band. Really good opportunity to see a number of different levels, but you guys have gotten to see Brian, gotten to meet Brian. He's easy to talk to, and really was a great individual. Has a small law firm, a lot better than the big law firms, because he cares about you, the individual, not as a number. Brian will guide you through the process from beginning to end, and if he doesn't have the answers, he'll make sure he gets you those answers and guides you to wherever you need to go. Brian is truly one of the best, has a great family, comes from a great family, and does a lot of great work in community service and volunteer work for the community. Again, Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson. Give them a call, 724-799-8404, or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. Finally, the K Collection brand, the coffee brand by professional baseball player Austin Kitchen of the Seattle Mariners. Again, the AK Espresso. The espresso batches is personally my favorite. I use it every morning. Was never a coffee person, but now I am a coffee person because, one, Austin made it. Certainly went through a lot of tests and protocol through Major League Baseball and did a really good job with this. The K Collection, a really good brand. He's in the Seattle Mariners organization. Very good overall, but when you can have one of these in the morning, be good for the rest of the day, I suggest you get it. The coffee brand, the K Collection, the coffee brand by Austin Kitchen of the Seattle Mariners, www.thekingscraft.com. Again, here's the bag. Three different kinds of coffees here. They're all here in this black bag. The backwards K Collection for a backwards K stands for the strikeout looking. So make sure you guys go on to www.thekingscraft.com and get yours today. Also, before I get into it here, and guys, I always put out a tweet, but man, certainly a very honestly, a great environment. This past weekend on a Saturday, we were down there at about 7:20 in the morning, over in the lot next to the Carnegie Science Center. Just overall, a very good environment, man. When we saw there was a line to get in at 7 a.m., it was bumping. It was bumping this weekend, and it was a lot of fun and truly embraced it. But beyond thankful for everyone who came up to me, got to meet a lot of different people. WRW Pitt, who's in the chat here tonight, got to meet him, got to have a number of conversations. He got to talk to Brian Thompson as well. Sean Lee Sr. got to meet him. Numerous different parents that were able to walk by and have a conversation. I know there'll be more coming here this next game as well against Central Michigan. Just truly great to have a number of different conversations with each and every one of you. Cannot thank you enough for subscribing to the show and just creating a great environment for Pitt football. We're happy to have all of you who are certainly parents of Pitt football. We just truly appreciate trusting the university, the coaching staff to bring your son to the University of Pittsburgh. And man, we are truly beyond blessed to have you. And that's why it's great to have those conversations with each and every one of you. We're easy to approach. Certainly, if you do see us come up, take a picture, it'll be a lot of fun. And cannot thank you guys enough for being Pitt football parents, but also too being great subscribers to the podcast and just building great relationships. I'm a big relationship guy, and we don't have subscribers, we got relationship builders. So truly appreciate that. Going into the comments section here, a number of ones here. WRW Pitt, of course, smash the like button, subscribe, and join Alliance 412. Any major injuries to report? We'll talk a little bit about that. JJ tried to get an interview with Sean Lee Sr. That'd actually be pretty good. Sean Lee Sr., and again, got to meet him and his wife at the tailgate as well. One of the parents I got to meet, truly great people. He played football at Penn State. I told him he's on the good side now over on the Pitt side, man, but truly just blessed, and we're lucky to have them. Great people, great family, and Sean Lee Jr. is going to be one hell of a player at the University of Pittsburgh. Going through a number of comments here. Concerned that D-line only had one sack. We'll go into that. Wolf HD, what's going on? JJ, glad college football is back. I do not think Holstein should be judged on how he started against Duquesne after the injuries and missed practices. The real assessment is how he starts for CMU. We'll go over that tonight. It's a great question on there as well. Great to be back this weekend. Marlon Barnes Jr., truther. I couldn't agree more. WRW Pitt, it was great talking to you and Brian at the tailgate. Could not agree more. The issue for Holstein is that he started how he always starts. Another Wombat. We'll go into that kind of stuff here tonight. First up, the players that really stood out the most to me, and we'll go over the good and the bad because I think in game one, it's what you expected. If you watched anything across college football, the Big Ten certainly had a tough go of it. Wisconsin being in a tough game against the MAC opponent, Rutgers. If it all didn't go their way, they would have lost to Ohio University, who is actually hosting the West Virginia Mountaineers this weekend. So that'll be an interesting watch to see how they handle that. But a number of group of five teams that were really able to compete at a high level. And you watched it from the get-go where you saw week one mistakes for every single football team, not just Pitt, but across the board. First off, watching the tape, next weekend, we'll do the same thing, probably go live on a Sunday and really be able to watch the tape, that Saturday afternoon, plus being able to watch it a little bit more on Sunday. After the West Virginia game, we'll probably go live right after the West Virginia game and still do a Sunday conversation to talk about it. But overall, it'll certainly be very interesting, to say the least. But after watching the tape, a number of different players, when you look at offense, defense, and overall, I will say first, number one, the special teams group, I thought, for the Pitt Panthers here this weekend was truly phenomenal. As a true freshman kicker, Trey Potowski, man, he did one hell of a job. He missed the one extra point, was tipped a little bit at the line of scrimmage. Not a big deal. I think overall, besides that, he had 3 field goals in the game, really showed composure. When you're able to kick in Acrisure Stadium, probably the toughest place to kick, in college football because of the surface that's there. I think it's a really good thing. So I think overall, that was a very good opening game for Trey Potowski. And then obviously Caleb Junko, I thought, did a really good job punting the football. As you can imagine, Kenny Johnson certainly had a great return. He did a phenomenal job. Desmond Reed is Desmond Reed. He returns a punt again. You have to just give him his props. He's going to be one hell of a football player here again. He's one of my guys on here. But number one, the number one guy is Des Reed. I mean, just whether it's running the football out of the backfield, Pitt really runs a lot of pin pull scheme, which is a guy's, offensive line blocking down. You have a wide receiver towards the end of the line of scrimmage blocking down to hit the defensive end. I'm not exactly a big fan of it in power forward, especially when the majority of the time it's Raphael Poppy Williams, who's 5'8". I think it's kind of a not exactly the best schematically in the power four game, but that's what they have. And Desmond Reed, when you're one-on-one with him, he truly makes a great move and really gets it done. Desmond Reed, man, again, and you look at the numbers here pulled up. Desmond Reed, only 8 rushes for 66 yards, 8.3 a pop, had himself a tutty, a 53-yard touchdown run, just truly good overall. I thought he did a tremendous job, and again, he's going to be great. Hopefully, again, this weekend we go get Central Michigan, certainly not to be taken slightly. You got to be on top of your game. They are much of the running football team, and we'll talk about them towards the end of the show, as they're almost like a Georgia Tech Army type of looking offense. They're going to run the football and try to bully you up front, but that's, I think Pat Narduzzi is probably extremely excited to face them here this coming weekend, because it's going to be a lot of fun, to say the least. This is a Pat Narduzzi team he wants to face. Let me see here. First up, Brian Thompson, the first super chat of the night. Is some of the rust Holstein had at the beginning of the game related to rumors that he was not focused as he should in non-game situations? Honestly, it's a good question here, Brian. I mean, the number one thing I think for Holstein is you saw in the beginning of the game, he comes in, obviously the first quarter was not good. He did not have a very good first quarter at all. The first play, the second quarter was just a horrific interception. I mean, it throws it into double coverage. But I think to Holstein's point, the rust was just not being in a live game for 6+ games, 7+ games. Hadn't been in a game since live in a game since October. It's a long time period. You can try to emulate as much as you want in practice. You can try to emulate as much as you want in the scrimmages. But he got back to where he needed to be. And it's kind of one of the players that I had on here, even with the interception. Eli Holstein, who played really 2.5 quarters only, 15 of 23, 215 yards passing, 9.3 average, which is really good. 4 touchdown passes thrown, 1 interception thrown. The same thing with Cole Gonzalez, 8 of 15, 87 yards, 1 tutty, and no interceptions overall, 302 passing yards in the game. But Eli Holstein, 15 of 23, 215, 4 tutties, and then an interception. After that first quarter, you were much happy. I think when that first quarter happened, I was very upset looking at it and just saying, hey, he's got to get out of this little funk that he's in, and out of the first game, because last year we saw him in that first game throw for 300 yards, but he really played the whole game for the majority of the game. But after that first quarter and that first drive of the second quarter, you saw a number of really good throws. He had a great 50-yard plus throw to Raphael Poppy Williams over the middle, was really good on a timing route from the inside the pocket. Had a lot of time to throw, was able to look down the field, really had himself a good setup to where, boom, he's able to hit that guy on a timing route right around the Duquesne defender going down the hash mark. So, I mean, that was really good overall. I like that one. The throw to Blue Hicks in the end zone, the one-handed catch by Blue Hicks, who we'll talk about. I thought that was a tremendous throw right there. You saw a number of different areas. Plus, Eli Holstein showed he still got his legs. He's currently there. And he did a good job towards really the second and third quarter. The first quarter, just a little bit rough for him. Again, I think it's good to get that rust off of him right now. The same thing with the Central Michigan game. But to your point, Brian, these guys better be focused going forward, because Central Michigan, like anybody else, cannot be taken lightly. I can tell you that, because once we go to week 3, you better be prepped and ready to go, because the shit's going to start. And that's against West Virginia in the backyard brawl. But great question. Another super chat here, another Wombat. I'm not trying to look too deep into this game. If the offensive struggles against Central Michigan, I think it might be time to worry them. Yeah, I mean, another Wombat. Yeah, if they struggle against Central Michigan, I think there's certainly a level of concern. Again, and I was harsh, at the beginning of the year, to where I'm not going to really judge this team unless something dramatically catastrophic happens in the first 2 games. But I think when you look at the offense, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. Also, again, you guys probably saw me tweet out, through the first, really all 4 quarters, that was a very vanilla offense. We didn't see any screen routes. We didn't see any quick routes. We saw a couple deep routes, nothing that was crazy, everything that was completely open. And you saw a couple drop plays or a couple a couple toss plays that we saw. Overall, they maybe ran about 20-25% of the offense. I mean, it was blatantly clear they were trying not to show anything. And again, even to that point, when you're able to put up overall, I think how many yards did they have here? 300 yards passing, 158 yards rushing. Overall, as a team, let me see here, 302 yards rushing. Team statistics here. Let me pull them up here. Total yards. I mean, Pitt had 460 total yards of offense. They only gave up 212 yards of total offense. They had 171 yards passing, 17-27, and then they only had 41 yards rushing. The majority of those passing yards came on one play to Joey Isabella over the top against Javon McIntyre, who went for, I think it was like 67, 68 yards, and then ended up finishing up into a touchdown. A slant route against Rashad Battle on the inside, gave up inside leverage, and then he scores a touchdown. So those are things to watch. But, I mean, besides that one drive, I mean, it was just pretty much dominance through the end for the defense. But when it comes to the offense, I mean, at the end of the day, if they really struggle against them, then it'll be a time for concern, because I watched the Central Michigan game already. For people that are wondering, they really run an old school type of offense, a lot like Army, Georgia Tech, not to the extreme of Georgia Tech or not to the extreme of Army, but they're still in that realm of there. They are a heavy dose football team. I mean, they only had, I think, last week against San Jose State out in California. They won the game 16-14, only had about 65, 67 yards passing. They rushed the ball for a good bit, but they're known to be a rushing team. And what's Pitt known for? Stopping the run. This is a week where Pat Narduzzi, I listened to his press conference today. He's excited for this game because this is he called it an old style Big Ten football game. I mean, this is really what Pat Narduzzi's defense was really known for, pressure and stopping the run. He's going to have himself a lot of fun here this week in terms of game planning for the Central Michigan football team. So we'll be able to watch. But another Wombat, to your point, again, it may be time to worry, but it depends on how much they're opening up. Again, they're going to try to hold stuff back, but I would expect them to hopefully by the end of the third quarter have this into play and then get your other guys out there and get Cole Gonzalez back out there, get your second line of defense out there for defense and offensive line. Get your other guys in there. Get Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles out. I think those are really big ones too. But maybe for a type of a concern, we'll be able to go after that. But I mean, if they only score like 14 points in the game and win, that's a level of concern. 17 points, that's a level of concern. I can push it at there. But great question. I appreciate that. Again, right there, 2 off the bat, 2 super chats. Once you're up there to the top, we get you on the screen immediately. So it'll be really important. But hey, before we get into it here, let me see here. Where was I? Oh, yes. Players that we're looking at again. Des Reed. The next one, Blue Hicks. I mean, guys, this kid's going to be special. We saw a number of different crossing routes. And again, this was so vanilla in terms of what Pitt was running to what we normally see them run, what we've seen them run during the fall camp and even the spring. Truly, I mean, this was pretty simple to the top. I mean, overall. I mean, Blue Hicks is going to be a special football player, but then the one-handed catch, that's probably right now the top catch of the college football season. The Miami catch is certainly another one. I think that might be up there with it, maybe a little bit higher than Blue Hicks' catch, the Miami catch from last night. But when you watch this football team, I think that you look at it, it's pretty clear that Blue Hicks is going to be a hell of a football player. And again, the biggest thing that I looked at for Pitt's offense was how they're going to distribute the football, even with running a vanilla set against Duquesne. Normally, when you're going to the season, I'm telling you guys right now, the number one guy every defense is looking to stop is Des Reed. If you only throw the ball to Des Reed or only run the ball to Des Reed, it's going to be a long year for the offense. The great thing that we saw yesterday, we saw catches from Kenny Johnson, Blue Hicks, Deuce Spann, Zion Fowler, L. He had, I'll tell you what, too. If you remember, Pat Narduzzi said a couple weeks ago, Zion Fowler L is not going to play unless he wants to block. Well, let me tell you something. He blocked the shit out of some guy yesterday. 2 days ago on Saturday. And let me tell you, I mean, Zion's with 5'11", on a good day. I mean, he blocked the shit out of this guy. I mean, that's a guy going full force even when he's not getting the football. I love to see that, and that's a guy that's going to be able to play a lot of football for Pitt this year. But you saw a number of different guys get the football. Bryce Yates, a true freshman. He's the first true freshman off the bench at the wide receiver position. He had himself a hell of a day. He had a drop in the end zone, but man, ends up getting he gets a whole nother opportunity. Cole Gonzalez, throws a strong level, great speed and velocity on his football. Boom, hits Bryce Yates right over the middle. He goes the rest of the way for a touchdown. So you saw a number of good plays, but you saw the wealth and distribution. The same thing goes for the running backs. You saw, Des Reed, Jules Goff, Jalen Williams, Justin Cook. I mean, you saw a number of different guys there. But Blue Hicks, man, I mean, just a hell of a game. I mean, the guy's electric. 2 touchdowns on the day. What were his numbers here? Let's take a look here just real quick so I can give it to you guys here. Bryce Yates had 2 receptions there. Receiving yards. Blue Hicks, 4 catches for 55 yards, 13.8 per pop, 2 touchdowns. Longest one was 22 yards. And then Bryce Yates. I mean, Bryce Yates here too. Two catches, 69 yards, 34.5 for a pop, 1 touchdown catch. Again, it just overall it was good. Kenny Johnson, 4 catches, 47 yards. He had himself a touchdown. Malachi Thomas, 1 catch. He did have a drop in the game. Pat Narduzzi also talked about he had a personal, not a personal foul, but a excessive celebration penalty. That kind of shit he talked about cannot happen against an ACC team or else it's going to be problems. But he had 1 catch and 1 drop, but the 1 catch was for 34 yards and a touchdown. I expect him to get touches here this year, along with guys like, Jordan Holmes. Jordan Holmes will be a big one. The backup, I thought he did a really good job. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly here. Jake Overman obviously had a catch for 3 yards. Cam Sapp had a catch for 7 yards. True freshman. Good overall. Let's see here. Got us another super chat here. Will. Let's see here. Super chat. O-line didn't have the kind of push in the running game you'd expect with the talent gap. Is this being because Duquesne sold out for the run or potential concern? So this is a great question. This is a great question here. One, we're going to talk about this as one of the good and bad things. The good thing about the O-line, I thought that B.J. Williams, who's one of my players to watch here, so I'll talk about him here. Blue Hicks, Desmond Reed, and now B.J. Williams. B.J. Williams had a hell of a day. I mean, he was just, I saw a number of times on tape, if you go back, especially in the red zone, he was driving back people like 10, 15 yards. And like the Jules Goff one where Jules Goff gets to and I think it's the first or second quarter, gets to the 1 yard line. B.J. Williams is still blocking this dude to the outside the end zone. I mean, just absolutely kicks the shit out of him. I mean, that's what you want to see. And B.J. Williams will do that all year. But I think that the one concern I did have was during the run game, you saw a number of different areas where they were getting a 1 yard gain, a 1 yard loss, almost like a stalemate. But B.J. Williams had a good day. Jeff Percy had a good day. Ryan Bayer, they pulled him out of just precautionary. He didn't need to be out there. He did really good there at that spot. But, I got a little bit concerns about Keith Gavea. I've been a big guy where I've been saying that position at left guard should be Jackson Brown. Jackson Brown, second on the depth chart right now. We saw him get some time during the game yesterday. I thought he did a good job. And, he's a guy, he's bigger than Keith. Keith is about 6'3", just under 300 pounds. Jackson Brown, 6'5", 315, 320 pounds. I think, he's got a mean streak to him. There were times, obviously, that Keith, I thought, did really well in pass protection, which they work on a lot. But, there are times where I'm just watching on tape, where I'm watching each individual offensive lineman, and too many times where Keith was just getting blown up, getting pushed back. But then there'd be times he do really well, gets guys off the line of scrimmage. We saw it on the Desmond Reed run where he had, a 50-yard run there. Joels Goff had a couple runs for 3 or 4 yards, but we need more consistency out of it. To your point, Will, there were times where the run game was just non-existent. To the point, we talk about schematically. They run a pin pull scheme where they're blocking down one way or the other, and then you have a wide receiver crack down on the defensive end. That kind of stuff to me just does not work in Power 4 college football. I just don't. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it works. I think it's it's actually a weakness. Too many times, especially you saw different times where Duquesne was rushing 6 guys. There's always a guy that goes untouched because, one, you get 5 guys blocking, especially if the running back comes out of the backfield. You're going to have one guy that's untouched. But a lot of times where there's one guy coming that's unblocked, it's where it's like a 4 or 5 man rush, and we're missing a guy. Why? Because the wide receiver's trying to come down the line and block, or the guard's pulling to one side, going to the left side, and he can't get there in time. I'm not a big fan of that scheme. I want to see, personally, I'd like to see more power runs. He loves having the smaller backs. That's great. I love that, that they want to do toss plays and get guys out in space. But at the end of the day, to get guys out in space, you need your offensive linemen running out to be able to block those guys out in the front. I just don't, I don't know. I understand it to an extent, but I want to see more power running game. I want to be able to see guys go in between the tackles. Joel Goff, another guy that's on here for me that I thought did really well yesterday. Let me see his stats here. He only had 7 carries, but 7 carries, 31 yards, 4.4 per pop. Okay, and personally, in college football, you really want to see a perfect run in college football on the Power 4 level is really 3.3 to 3.5 yards per carry. 3.3 to 3.5. If you're over that, like a Desmond Reed at 8.3, Eli Holstein at 5.9, Joel Goff at a 4.4, Jalen Williams at a 5.0, Caleb Williams 4.0. When you're averaging that many yards, you want to be able to get that push. You really want to be able to develop those numbers and be able to start pushing guys around. And, we'll see more towards the West Virginia game. I think a lot of times he just wants to throw the ball more. I think there's less design around how much they want to run the football. It's just not a big thing in his game and his game plans. Now, does he like to be able to establish the run at time, especially late in the game? Yes. Do I think it's something that they need to work on? Yes. Do I think that there's still a battle at left guard? 110%. We saw Lyndon Cooper do a great job this past weekend, where the amount of times I saw Pitt go into the drop back and Eli Holstein had all day to throw. I think Eli possibly had 2 times where he didn't have all day to throw. 2 times during the game. The one was when Ryan Bayer came out, Kendall Stanley came in, which is why also I don't know why they put Kendall Stanley in at right tackle when the majority of the time he's been practicing at left tackle. That's a huge difference. The first play Kendall Stanley goes in, it's an automatic sack. I mean, the guy basically does a nice rip and pull, and he's able to get upfield and get a sack on Eli Holstein. That's not a Kendall Stanley problem. That's a dumbass coaching decision. How about putting, Giovanni Coley in there, who's been working at right tackle? I understand Kendall Stanley is easily the top reserve at tackle, but if you're going to do that and put a guy in at right tackle, make sure you get some reps during practice. What the shit? We're not asking for a lot. I think that when you're working mostly at left tackle, everything's in reverse. You're asking for the people that don't know, it's pretty hard to go from left tackle to right tackle, from right tackle to left tackle, because everything you're doing is on the reverse. Everything that you normally do on a day in, day out basis is now in reverse. So how you think has to be completely in reverse of what you've been doing all week in practice. To me, that was not a Kendall Stanley problem. That was a coaching problem. That should not have happened. Isaiah Montgomery should have gone in there, or Giovanni Coley, who I think could play immediately for Pitt. That's on coaching. That's stupid coaching. Call it what it is. They know better. And I understand that the Kendall Stanley, after that, started to develop and put his guys in there. But guess what? All it takes is one play for some stupid shit to happen and someone gets hurt. So that's on coaching. But to your point here, the second point, did Duquesne sell off for the run? When you go back and look at the box, brother, they had, how many times did we not even throw deep? I think we're throwing so shallow, they're able to put guys in the box. They had about 8 or 9 guys in the box every time. When you got 8 or 9 guys in the box, it's going to be hard to run. It's that simple. So to that point, a lot of times it was that unwillingness to get the run game going. But then there was the other portion of the time to where, hey, when you got 8 or 9 guys in the box, you're going to be able. It's going to be a tough sledding. I don't care who you're facing. When you got 5 or 6 guys blocking, you got 8 or 9 guys in the box. There's 2 or 3 guys that are unblocked. So I think it's a little bit of both. Will, this is a tremendous question. I was going to get to this at some point, but yeah, the O-line I thought was great in pass protection. The running game needs to be better. The running game 110% needs to be better. We want more consistency. We want these guys to be at a higher level, but also too, that's on coaching. Schematically, they need to do better job of calling these run plays, not as much as a pin pull scheme, not as much as crackdown blocks from the wide receivers. Get into a power running scheme and be able to run the ball down their throat where they can't stop you. A little bit of both. Be creative. Great offensive coordinators look around the country, see what's working, and then you implement it how you want into your system. You don't change your system, but you add in certain plays from other places. Like for me, if I'm an offensive coordinator right now in college football, I'm looking at a guy like Steve Sarkisian, who does a tremendous job, Lane Kiffin, who does a tremendous job. I think even if you watch a little bit of the power run game from Kurt Signetti, watch a little bit of that. Take some things from certain coaches and then implement it into your system. I think it's a major aspect of being a great offensive coordinator. Now, also, too, it was very, very, very vanilla. As I said before, about 20-25% of what they were running was out of the playbook. That's it. When you're looking at 80 to 75% of what you still have open, you can't bitch and complain about it. It's a preseason game pretty much. But overall, I don't have a concern for it now, but I want to see it get better. And I want to see Jackson Brown getting more repetitions at left guard. I just, the guy's a legacy name. Tony, his dad played at Pitt. I mean, put him in the fucking game. I think just there are aspects of these first 2 weeks. I want to see who's playing the best. Put Jackson Brown in the game at left guard. It's that simple. I want the best 5 out there. And I think Jackson Brown is one of the best 5, especially at guard. The more loss hurts, but Zelensky seemed to show promise. Yeah, to your point, obviously the injury that I was talking to you guys about was Jaden Moore. He will be out for extended period of time. He did not dress, was up in the box. That's a clue in itself that he's going to be out for a little bit. Now, like Pat Narduzzi said today, Pat Narduzzi got a little frustrated with some reporters, which it's their job to ask the question. I mean, it's that simple. It is their job to ask the question whether he likes it or not. But he's out for extended period of time. But, man, Joey Zelensky, I thought, looked really good. Blaine Spires, I know there's a question here like about only 1 sack. It's hard to get sacks, guys, when they're throwing slant routes or screens. Like, for instance, slant routes, screens, or quick outs. So, for instance, a quick out is a guy that basically is on the line of scrimmage, then boom, he turns right to the right or right to the left, and boom, that pass is coming right to him. The only time they had a guy got a throw off, which, again, he just had an open, again, they call it a quarters killer. When you have the inside slot, which was Joey Isabella, boom, runs a 1-2, runs a run-2 pump. He's able to basically ditch and dodge, gets past Javon McIntyre up to the top, and he's able to hit one for 50, 60 yards for how many yards it was. He's able to do that roll like a nice pump fake up front, and he's able to get behind the safety. It's a quarters killer. I mean, he's got that 1-2 step, and then boom, he's gone. But besides that, I mean, they were running short routes all day. I mean, they were 1 to 3 yard routes all day. Hard to get sacks like that. And then when they did drop back, guys are going to get him, but it's hard to get to the guy first when Kyle Lewis is blitzing and the guy is just an absolute freak. And he's on one of my guys to look for here, but just an absolute freak in that aspect. Another one here. Appreciate you, Pitman Zach, a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, sir. Blue Hicks look phenomenal, potentially a future Biletnikoff candidate. I'm surely drinking the Kool-Aid early. I think all of us right now are drinking the Kool-Aid early, but, when you're looking at a very vanilla offense of what we run, so when you're looking at, here's how really Pitt fans should look at it. When you're running the base offense and the base defense, what do these guys look like athletically? You're relying more on athletic ability than game planning because you're running so much, so much base defense. I mean, even the defense, for example, I mean, shit, we may have, Kyle Lewis would blitz the quarterback. That's a 5-man rush. During the season, you're going to see guys rushing 6-7 guys that are going to be rushing the quarterbacks at times and then being able to disguise where they're coming from. A lot like what you saw from, Ohio State against Texas, where they were just disguising coverages and really moving things around. You're going to be able to see a lot of that. A guy like Blue Hicks, you saw a lot of times, almost every time, he's beating his guy every single time, getting out in front of them. And then even on the touchdown catch, the one-handed touchdown catch, the guy's in great position. Blue Hicks just makes a great catch. And he's been doing that all fall camp, which is a really good thing. So he stepped up really well. I thought, he just looks phenomenal. He'll be eventually, he'll be that number 2 guy, I think, or potentially fighting for the number 1 spot with Kenny Johnson. But we saw a number of great different plays from both sides of the football, but that was certainly one of them. Thank you for the super chat as always. Again, guys, super chat button down below. We get your guys' stuff up first before anybody else's, so I appreciate it as always. 4 super chats, no 5 super chats. Now, RJ Seaman, Reed is a beast as a pass blocker too. Love to see that and the fine tuning of his craft. Yeah, again, Pat Narduzzi talked about this as well. Again, this kid, you ask him to do anything, he'll do it. He never says no. But for a guy his size, he reminds me a lot like a Darren Sproles. He's a willing pass blocker. He's a very good pass blocker, almost even to extent, if you want to put it out there, like a Jalen Warren or the Pittsburgh Steelers. A very good guy who loves violence for his size, loves to deliver a blow. I mean, guy just doesn't even put his shoulder into it, puts his whole entire body and his face mask into it. That's what you love to see, the type of violence he has. He just does a really good job. That's why he's an All-American. He'll be an All-American this year again, too. It's the kid's that good. And again, to your point, RJC, man, he's just a tough physical dude. He's a great teammate as well. He's a great leader. That's why he's a captain. And then he just continually fine-tuning his craft. I'm telling you, I think because of his size, people won't take him high in the draft, but he will get drafted next year. I mean, he's going to get drafted. And that's how good of a player this guy is. I think he's going to be a great second down, third down back in the National Football League. He's going to be that good. But again, thank you as always for another super chat. This might be the best night of super chats so far, guys. We got like 6 super chats here so far. And again, you super chatted in, we get you right to the top. RJ Seaman reminds me of Joe Morris. 100% agree. Again, appreciate all the super chats as always. I'm going to try to get to all the questions. Going to be hard. Obviously, that's why the super chats are really important. Be able to go through everything. Going to try to get to all the comments here. But back to what I was saying here. So the offense, Blue Hicks, Des Reed, B.J. Williams up front, a great day. Joel Goff, Bryce Yates, a true freshman. I thought he had a damn good day. And then a good day. Not a great day, but a good day was Eli Holstein, man. When you throw 4 touchdown passes, he did have that one really bad throw in the beginning of the second quarter. Did not look good in the first quarter, but the next 2 quarters, he really settled in, was able to rush the football. Let's see here how many rushing yards he had. 215 yards passing, 41 yards rushing, 5.9 average on 7 carries. I mean, overall, guys, that's pretty damn good. Eli Holstein, I would say in the beginning of the game, the first quarter, and then the first play of the second quarter was just not good. But then after that, you saw him stick in the pocket. You saw him make great throws to Blue Hicks twice. The first time over the middle of Blue Hicks in the end zone. The next one, over the top shoulder catch is a hell of a throw, a great fade route throw. So he had that one as well. The protection on this play was great. If you guys remember late in the middle of the second quarter, man, Eli had all day to throw. Guys are moving around. They're playing a scramble drill, trying to get someone open. Eli Holstein doesn't rush to run the football, moves around the pocket. He feels the pressure coming, steps up in the pocket, and while he's getting hit, has a great throw to Kenny Johnson for a touchdown. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you start to want to see. Again, being vanilla, but man, that's the kind of stuff where you're just like, okay, Eli's back to being Eli again. After that first quarter, you're a little bit nervous, but man, that second quarter, that second drive, the second quarter, man, boom, things started to really start to hit and click, which is a really good thing. Let's see here. Another one. Again, Kenny Johnson's on here as well. Also, honorees on here. Zion Fowler L had 2 great catches. I mean, blocked the shit out of a guy. I mean, you'd love to see that. I thought that was really good. And then also too, Raphael Poppy Williams. I mean, that catch from Eli Holstein. I mean, he's right in the slot, goes right up the hash, is doing a perfect post. But as he's starting to pass, immediately as he's starting to pass, the Duquesne defender, boom, Eli Holstein is already timing perfectly, hitting him in stride over the middle of the football field. That's what you wanted to see. So, I mean, the offense there's a number of guys in the offense that looked good. Another super chat by Pitt man, Zach94. Junko looked really good. Also, the kickers looked impressive. What are you looking for to watch against Central Michigan? This is a great one. For me personally, again, we talked about in the beginning, Trey Putowski. I mean, he had 3 great kicks in that game as a true freshman, kicking in Acrisure Stadium, probably the hardest place to kick because of it's an NFL stadium, but also the playing surface, which is a big thing, always in Acrisure Stadium. He looked really good. Caleb Junko looked really good all games. That's a huge positive. But also, too, special teams, the return game. Kenny Johnson, Desmond Reed both had great returns. Desmond Reed had a touchdown. Kenny Johnson had like a 70-yard return. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. You love to see that. Trying to think. Against Central Michigan, for me, the biggest thing against Central Michigan from what I've watched, they were a hard power running team. They're going to run the football 70 to 80% of the time. It's being able to stop the run. They're going to play 3 different quarterbacks. I watched the game here this past week. I think they only play 2 quarterbacks, so they have 3 quarterbacks that can play. It's just how they run their system. They'll have different packages for each guy. They'll run 3 different quarterbacks. They'll be able to run the football. They want to be able to go up front and being able to stop it and to be able to run the football at a high level and a high level tempo. You know, we got to be able to stop the run. And I think that, again, this defense is built to stop the run. That's the Pat Narduzzi defense. So I'm not worried about that. Also, watching them, no team is taken lightly, but they face San Jose State out in California, which is not an easy trip going from Michigan to California. And they took the victory 16-14. But we'll certainly get into more of that towards the end of the show. But they got to be able to stop the run. They are running the football 75 to 80% of the time. It is a full-blown rushing attack. They had like 59 yards passing in the game. That's all they had. And then even Pat Narduzzi talked about it this week. They're a tough, physical, blue-collar team. He's excited for this because this running attack reminds him a lot of the old-school Big Ten football. So we'll be able to watch more and more of that. But thank you again for the super chat, and appreciate it. A great question here as well. We'll get to more questions there at the end. I don't see any more super chats there yet. Make sure I don't miss any super chats. Nope. Appreciate that as always. On defense, Kyle Lewis. Guys, you watch this guy, bruh. This guy is a day one pick. The speed, the velocity, the understanding of the defense, you can watch this and just tell how much tape he watches. He just knows where the ball is going. He had multiple sacks, 2 sacks in a row. Thank God they got him out of the game. Rasheed Biles had himself a hell of a game. I saw on Twitter that some people were saying Rasheed Biles wasn't going to play. I heard it came from a certain group chat, which we were all joking about on Twitter the other day. That was just beyond comical. He was never hurt. He's 100% healthy, so that's kind of comical. People making stuff up. It is what it is. But Kyle Lewis had himself a day. That guy's going to be All-American again. Same thing with Rasheed Biles. Another guy, we talked about Kyle Lewis, Rasheed Biles, which again, he had 4 tackles on the day, 1 tackle for a loss. That dude's just an absolute freak as well. The next one, Cruz Brookins. The Cruz is loose. It is that simple. This kid, we've talked about it numerous times. We talked about it last year. He kind of hit that freshman wall. But then this year, he has just been full-fledged. As a redshirt freshman, this kid can play. The heart of Steel Valley, this kid is going to be an all-ACC player. That's how good he is. He's not shy of physicality. He loves to tackle. He loves to be up there in the run game. This kid's truly going to go to that next level as the season progresses. But when you start to see more of the duplexes, the more complexities of what this offense is looking to do and what this defense is looking to do, watch for Cruz Brookins to do a lot of crazy shit on defense when it comes to being more complex on defense and how they're able to hide a lot of their coverages, being able to disguise who's going to blitz. I think they're going to do a really good job. And again, I just extremely excited for what that young man's going to do at Pitt. And he had a hell of a day yesterday. Another guy on defense, Cam Lindsey, the 4-star redshirt freshman out of Aliquippa, Quips to Pitt. I know, our boys up there, and obviously, guys like freak athletes like Cam Sadler, all those guys, truly incredible. But when you look at a guy like Cameron Lindsey out of Aliquippa, let me tell you something, man. This kid is going to be good. I would keep telling you guys that. You saw it again. He was a heat-seeking missile when he went and got that sack. Just absolutely just devoured this guy. That's what you want to see. That's how good he can be. And he's going to get better and better and better now that he gets the opportunity to play more and more. He's on that 2 deep. He's rotating in constantly. These first 2 games are confidence boosters for him, and he's doing one hell of a job. He's watching the tape. He's taking care of his body now. He's got that job where that freshman year he did a really good job of learning, took the mental reps. Now in this stage of the game where he's going into the football game, it's about getting more repetitions to understand the speed and the velocity of the game. And he did a hell of a job on Saturday. And again, didn't play a lot of snaps, but the time that he was in there, he was causing havoc. And again, just absolutely murdered a guy on that sack. That was just so much fun to watch. When I watched that, I'm like, good God Almighty, man! I know his dad's got to be pumped. The White's got to be pumped. Just happy for everybody in Aliquippa, and more importantly, the Cam Lindsey family, man. Beyond pumped up. I know Cam Sadler had been all pumped up too, cheering him on as well. So excited for that. Next up on my list, Joey Zielinski, defensive end. How many times that guy, he had 1 sack on the day, the transfer out of Eastern Michigan, but the constant pressure he was producing. We talked about this. I saw the question here as a concern about only 1 sack from the D-line. No, because they were getting the ball out so quickly. And then Joey Zielinski was always there. The same thing I got him on here, Blaine Spires. Blaine Spires, man, he was a hell of a job in the run game. I mean, just absolutely just being a force, taking over that offensive line, just mauling people to get up front, being able to have 2 tackles for loss on the day for the time period that he played. I'm extremely happy about that, and he's going to be a very good player out of Utah State, originally from Youngstown. He's a Youngstown kid. Did a hell of a job, but Joey Zielinski did a really good job up front. Very happy about that. Another super chat coming here. RJC Man 38. Pitt seems to have improved their talent pool, which only helps the depth chart. I am very impressed by Pitt's overall athleticism. To your point, RJ, I agree. I think that this defensive line last year, you saw a lot of risk. I mean, you saw what's his name that was out of Nebraska on the defensive end. He played more linebacker at Nebraska. He was not a guy that was notoriously known as a defensive end. The same thing goes for Nate Matlack. Nate Matlack, he was the most frustrating player to watch on defense because he was always around the football but never made the play. So it's kind of like it's just no point of that player because if they're not making the play, it doesn't matter. You can be around the football as much as you want. You got to be able to make the play. He wasn't able to make those plays. So you saw on a number of different occasions last year where you just saw multiple guys just not be able to get pressure. Chief Borders, thank you, Speedy Tortoise. Chief Borders was not that guy who was just, got paid a lot of money to play here, but just didn't perform, and he wasn't a defensive end. But Nate Matlack, a linebacker, was in a 3-4 system, wanted to go, have his hand in the dirt, just was always around the football, but never completed the play. You're watching guys here, Joey Zielinski, 6'5", Blaine Spires, 6'3", great arm length, being able to create separation, a lot of good power, a lot of power drives from those guys, being able to get up the football field, finesse moves. You're watching those two really progress. Jaden Moore's also one of those guys as well out of Oregon. He's a guy that naturally out of high school came from a D-line system, went to a D-line, linebacker, almost like a spear, almost being able to do a hybrid. He's just a very good natural pass rusher. We didn't have any natural pass rushers that came in from the portal. Jimmy Scott was really the one that really stepped up as a guy who was able to produce at a high level. Also on my list I got on here to go with them. We look at the depth of the defensive line. We saw a number of guys in this football game. Number one, you saw a guy like Joey Zielinski. You saw Blaine Spires. You saw Jimmy Scott, a guy who was just physical and was able to, when I watched his tape, he's able to detach from the defense, from the offensive tackle. Zach Crothers, a redshirt freshman, Zach Crothers, he's really good, again, getting to the football. I know there were quick routes yesterday, but he created a lot of pressure. He's able to detach from the offensive tackle, be able to create separation, get off your blocker, and then get to the quarterback. The same thing in the running game. You're watching a lot more of this defensive line have guys who can actually be defensive linemen and actually rush the passer. I think we're still missing a guy like Jaden Moore because he's just that special. When you guys see him, he's just an absolutely just gifted athlete. But just look at it up front from a different perspective. Just Joey Zielinski, Blaine Spires, those two. Then you have Jimmy Scott, Zach Crothers, Maverick Gracio. Maverick Gracio had 2 tackles for loss in this football game. He was notoriously known for the punt block last year against West Virginia. He's taking that next step to go to the next level. All of those guys have passed up a guy like Nate Temple, who's still trying to fight for playing time, but those guys are right now in front of him. That defensive end room, I had questions about it coming into the season, but we're starting to see the depth. The guys are really able to get off of it. Now, again, it is RMU. Wow. I was watching West Virginia tape too today, so obviously watching a little bit of everything. Duquesne. Next week, it's against Central Michigan. Better competition out of the MAC. You want to see the same exact stuff happen again to where then you start, for me, as I've told you guys, I'm not judging this team until week 3 because week 3 is a Power 4 opponent and you can finally say, okay, what is our football team going to look like? That's really my opinion. That from a number of different levels, you judge your football team off a Power 4 experience. That's great. They kick the shit out of an FCS team. You learn nothing from that. I think it's to get the cobwebs off, get Eli Holstein out there, get to see him, in a game setting again. That's great. I think that's important. But more importantly, you want to guys get the cobwebs off, the rust off. But now you're not going to know what type of football team this is until they go to Morgantown to face West Virginia. And again, West Virginia is not that good of a football team. I talked about it before. I watched their tape. Good Lord, they had at least 5 fumbles in the game. They were only up 10-3 at the half because of all the fumbles. Again, they were also very vanilla as well. Rich Rodriguez talked about that after his game as well. They were talking about how vanilla they were. The same thing on defense, but their defense did really well. But then again, a lot like Pitt, how can you judge it? Because it's not an explosive team. RMU is not an explosive team. Duquesne, they're more explosive because they've won their conference and they're a ranked team in the FCS. Unlike Robert Morris, who was like 7-6 last year, 6-6 or something like that. But you only take it for what it's worth. It's an FCS team. Pitt was supposed to do that yesterday. Pitt was supposed to win big. That's kind of what you're looking at. But we'll see more this week against Central Michigan. So it's a MAC team. So, group of 5. Or I guess technically now group of 6 because of all the conference realignment shit. So it'll be fun to watch. But thank you again for the super chat, RJC Man 38. Thank you. Who else do I have on this list here? Oh yeah, Jimmy Scott. Jimmy Scott himself had himself a day. 4 tackles on the day, 2 tackles for loss. Again, he's going to be a big guy that steps up this year. He could have had, honestly, I thought he was going to have a sack, another sack, but the holding call. Joey Zielinski ended up getting the sack, and then Jimmy Scott ended up getting a holding call, but it didn't matter because it was already a loss in the play, so Pitt took it. So Jimmy Scott had a hell of a day. We talked about Blaine Spires, Zach Crothers, and also Joshua Guerriere, man, this kid, a true freshman, is going to play a lot this year. I think the Pitt staff really likes him. He's very intelligent in terms of football IQ. I mean, just the guy's an absolute football junkie. The guy just loves to study tape, and he's just a hell of an athlete. I think just this guy's done a really good job of getting to this level, and that's a great thing to see. So he was fun to watch. Those are the players that I had on defense, offense. Again, we talked about the kicking situation. Looked tremendous. And that was a big question mark for me. I actually called that a negative. But the kids so far playing lights out. So that's good to see for Pitt. Let's see here. We talked about the issues with the offensive line, the run game. We want to see that change up. We want to see more power running. There's a question here. Trying to find it. Speedy Tortoise. O-line and offense in general was a slow start. I agree. Again, I thought the pass protection was great. I mean, Eli had pressure on two plays. I mean, it was actually so nice to watch Eli drop back and not have pressure. A couple inside pressures from Keith Gouveia on the inside on that side, but besides that, I thought the pass blocking was pretty damn good. Des Reed was barely involved in the pass offense. I'm not worried. And the running scheme felt like inside zone or over and over again. I'm not worried at the moment. Yeah, I'm not worried about it either, brother, because one, they're running these, it was just so limited. But also, too, to the fact they want to watch how many times in these first 2 games they're giving a ball to Desmond Reed. The guy's got to make sure you stay healthy. You want to get him ready to where he's got the cobwebs off. He's got the rust off a little bit, but you want him ready for game 1 against a Power 4 opponent in West Virginia. Louisville, then you have that bye week. Then you have Louisville up next. You want to keep these guys healthy. So, and obviously, too, it's great to use Desmond Reed in the pass game, but to what I talked to you guys about in the beginning, you have to spread the football around. I got news for you. West Virginia, their number 1 guy to stop in the offense is going to be Desmond Reed. Not Eli Holstein, not Kenny Johnson, not Raphael Poppy Williams, not Jake Overman. It's Desmond Reed. That's the first guy they're looking to stop. Everybody else, they have to be able to distribute the football this year. That's something they struggled with last year. They have to be able to distribute the football. That was one thing I was happy to see. Besides the level of concern I had with the run game. Let's see. It reminds me of Joe Morris, all that. Icy Like Mango was awesome to be back at the AC. JJ got to meet up in our lot Saturday. Agree. I will be there. Make sure you hit me up. I'll be able to meet you in the lot, take a picture, and do whatever, and talk some football. Let's see here. Again, if you're over on X or on Facebook, head over to YouTube right now and hit the like button, subscribe. Both things are free. It helps with the algorithm, helps us grow. We're now at 1,500 subscribers. Our goal is to get to 2,000. Share this with everybody. Make sure we're able to grow to 2,000. We grow from there as it helps out with the algorithm. Let's see here. I can see why coaches are excited about Crothers. He got it. Once the college game slows down for him, look out. I completely agree, Will. Nick Gordon over on X. Cole Gonzalez looks very good. I agree, and I was happy that they got him out there, and Pat Narduzzi talked about that because some people were asking, should Eli have played longer? He looked great in the second half. He looked, in the third quarter. In the second quarter, should he played longer? And, I love Pat Narduzzi as the answer because obviously there's a lot of shit that bothers me about Narduzzi, but I thought he had a great answer. Getting Cole Gonzalez out there only grows his confidence at the power forward level now in this offense. And I can tell you this, I thought that guy has a strong-ass arm. I mean, you saw a number of great throws over the middle of the field. The one to Bryce Yates looked really damn good. I thought he did a good job there. Cole Gonzalez can move. I think if anything, that what we've shown from this past week, very clearly, Pitt has 2 to 3 quarterbacks who can run this offense. I think Mason Heinzel can run this offense too. Pitt this year has 3 quarterbacks that you say, okay, hey, we're good. We're good. And I think Cole Gonzalez is a really good quarterback. And also, for people who don't know, I think after the year's over, I think he gets another year of eligibility. Him and Mason Heinzel will go into a quarterback competition. So that'll be really fun to watch, to be honest with you. But to your point, Nick, I thought Cole Gonzalez looked very good as well. And for me, I talked about it from the spring. I talked about it to the fall. I liked this room, even when we had Julian Duggar. He went on, and from my understanding, he's not starting at Washington State. Let me see if I'm right on that here real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, Washington State beat Idaho this past weekend, 13-10. Let's look at the box score here. Yep, Julian Duggar is second on the depth chart right now. Jackson Potter started for Washington State. He was 23 of 30 for 208 yards, 1 TD. Julian Duggar came in the game, was 0 for 1, only threw 1 pass. And then he had 4 carries for negative 14 yards. I'm guessing that was probably a sack. He probably had a sack in there. But, yeah, he's not starting at Washington State. So that'll be something to watch there as well. So good for him, though. He's in second on the depth chart. Hopefully he gets an opportunity to play. Would have loved him to stay there. Would have loved to see him play here. I thought he could have had some. And for anybody asking, too, I saw some comments here. He had packages to go into the game for Pitt, too. I thought he'd have been a lethal weapon for Pitt. And also, Pitt would have had 4 quarterbacks, in my opinion, because I think Julian Duggar would have been good enough to easily play as well. So, it's a shame, but, hey, he's the backup there right now. But God bless him. Hopefully, not wishing anything bad on the starter there, but hopefully Julian Duggar gets a chance to play because I think he's that good and I think he can play. He certainly showed it. Who was seeking an injury? Yeah, Jaden Moore. Obviously didn't. Pat Narduzzi addressed that this afternoon. Was asked about it, got pretty upset about talking about injuries. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, the job of a journalist is to ask those questions. I mean, I can promise you guys this: I will not be getting any credentials to the Southside facility. I can promise you guys that shit right now. He talked about it during his press conference today. He said, hey, you just want to see tweets or something. If it's in a, if it's in a period that the journalists are there, and you guys are probably, I would imagine, Hammett, all those guys, Peak, Vuk, they probably all knew about the injury like I did. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we knew about that. I guess not technically 2 weeks ago, because it happened during the last week of camp. But yeah, he's out for an extended period of time. When you're not on the sideline and you're not dressed and you're up in the box, you're out extended period of time, unfortunately. But he certainly will be back this year. I can tell you that. Let's see here. Don't see any more comments there. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to go through all the comments. Again, thank you, as always, for the Super Chats. Had 7 Super Chats tonight. Again, Pitman Zach, RJ Seaman with a number of them. Brian, I cannot thank you enough. Will, appreciate the Super Chat, as always. Another Wombat, thank you, sir, for the Super Chat, as always. Appreciate it. Let's see here. I saw a question here. Is David Bruton hurt? Given the linebacker injuries, I thought he'd be ready to be on the depth chart instead of the walk-on LBs. He's not hurt. I just think that he just needs more time to learn the defense. I think that he's going to be a great linebacker for Pitt, but he needs to have the game slow down for him first. Nick Lappy's a guy who's a redshirt senior who I think he's going to be the number 5 guy off the bench, and we saw it again this past weekend where he looked really good. Who was another guy that jumped off there? I saw a freshman when I was watching the tape. I saw him here. Hold on, let me have my notes here. Emmanuel Taylor. He's a true freshman linebacker. He got to see time. I expect him to get some time this year. Nick Lappy, again, 2 tackles for loss. I like him him and Cameron Lindsay and Emmanuel Taylor look to be those guys off the bench. Abe Ibrahim. I think that's it. But I would say Cameron Lindsay, Nick Lappy, and then Emmanuel Taylor are your next 3 that are back there. Emmanuel Taylor is going to be a really good football player at the linebacker position. Also, I'd love to see sometime, if they can, Juju Anderson, true freshman defensive end. Wait till you guys see that kid. He's going to be good. And also, too, next year, wait till Reston Lehman from Peters Township gets here. He's going to play, I'm telling you guys right now, he's going to play as a true freshman. That kid is an absolutely freakish athlete, but the thing that gets him ready for college football right away is just his size, man. That kid, when he gets here, as long as he knows the defense, I mean, he's gonna enroll early. Whew, boy, that dude's gonna be ready. He's gonna be a force. Pitt was lucky to land that guy, and I've been harping on that. People didn't want to believe me at first. He's that good. He's gonna play. Speedy Tortoise, any big recruits that were there? I have to go back and look. I know there were some guys that were there, some really good, important recruits that were there. I probably see more of those recruits during the Louisville game. You'll probably see more of those. But there were a number of guys there for game 1. I'll have to go back and see the list. I don't have it in front of me, but I did write down 3 or 4 names, but I'll have to go back and look. Well, I don't see any more super chats. Duncan Darius here. Thoughts on any FSU, Cuse, Miami, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame future opponents who play Power 4 games 1 this week will match up against Pitt, Stanford, and NC State look suspect? This is a great question. And for a guy, obviously, who loves college football like myself, one, Florida State guys, and I, say what you want. I'm still not overall completely in on Tommy Castellanos. I just think that Alabama is very overrated, a lot like the SEC teams are. The Big Ten had a really bad weekend. I mean, the amount of Big Ten teams who struggled with FCS and Group of 5 teams was just bewilderment to me. That's another one that's overrated. But Florida State looked good. I mean, they look good, guys. Syracuse. They didn't look too hot, but also again, I hate the neutral site games. I hated that. It was pretty much a home game for Tennessee. I think there's some good pieces at Syracuse. Fran Brown's a hell of a football coach. He's going to be that guy that's there for a long time. He'll get that stuff corrected, but there's some stuff to work there. Obviously it's against Tennessee, who I think was a good football team. Miami looked damn good. I think Carson Beck isn't Cam Ward, but if Cam Ward's here, I got right here is Carson Beck. I mean, that's how well I thought he did last night. I mean, he threw into pressure how many times. There were some damn good catches by their wide receivers. I think their defense is a little bit suspect still a little bit. Their defensive line through the first really 2 or 3 quarters I thought looked really good, and they just got tired, got worn down a little bit towards the end of the game because they blew a 10-point lead. The offensive time stalled a little bit there, but I mean, at the end of the day, guys, they're facing a top 10 opponent in Notre Dame. They look good. I think that Notre Dame's in for a little bit of a harsh year with CJ Carr. I think he can be good as the year goes on. I think the bad thing for Pitt is they're going to face Notre Dame down the line. That's a problem for Pitt because he's going to get better as the year goes on. I still have some question marks about Notre Dame's offensive line. Notre Dame gave up a lot of pressure last night. I mean, you saw throughout the game, I mean, they were allowing a lot of pressure. You also saw a lot of quick routes for CJ Carr. They weren't looking to really push the ball down the field too much. He did a really good job of extending a couple plays. The one where he went back like 20 yards, wrapped it back around, and threw a touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone was a hell of a play. I think the kid's going to be good, really good next year. He's going to have some growing pains this year, but you're able to see a lot of stuff that what they do on tape. Bryce Love didn't really have that good of a night. I mean, they were getting stuff there pretty much. But Notre Dame's still a damn good football team. They're still really good. They're still a top 10, top 15 team to me. I mean, and Miami's I talked about it. Miami, roster wise, I think is the best team in the ACC. With Clemson right there at number 2. Clemson lost a very close game to LSU. That was a great game to watch. I'm a little suspect on K. Klubnik. He's staring down receivers again. You got question marks about that, so I don't know how that's going to look, but there's question marks about him. I thought the Clemson defense looked really good for how many times they were off the field quickly, the Clemson offense. That'd certainly be something fun to watch. Stanford and NC State are just bad. I mean, Stanford's horrible. I mean, they're trying to go into like Andrew Luck, just power running game. I mean, it's just not what college football is at this point. And you saw against Hawaii in the first game, their first game of the year. When you're not able to come back and you need 3, 4, 5 minute drives to score, that's a problem. Not good. Also, Wake Forest did not look good. They struggled. They beat Kennesaw State 10-9. Obviously we don't face Wake Forest this year. NC State certainly struggled there at the end. East Carolina almost beat them. I think, to be honest with you, I think North Carolina State actually has a quarterback. I think their quarterback looked pretty good. I mean, almost threw for 300 yards. I mean, the guy can throw. The question is their offensive line did not look good. Their defensive line did not look good. I do like their wide receivers. They got a good couple running backs, but I mean, they got some questionable variables there. I think that's for sure. And can they protect him? That's the question mark that they have. That's a lot of teams in college football, the offensive line. So overall, though, right now the ACC's 3-3. I mean, they've got some damn good wins. Georgia Tech beating up Colorado, winning that football game. You've got again tonight at 7:30 here in about 25 minutes. You've got North Carolina versus TCU. Who else won? Miami beat Notre Dame. And then what's the other one that happened? Who's a third game that won? It was a good game. Help me out in the comment section, guys. Miami, Georgia Tech, and who's the other one? Against a Power 14. I can't remember the third one, but right now the ACC's 3-3, SEC's 4-2. The Big Ten is I think they're like 2-1, and then right now the Big 12 is 1-3. And the Big 12 fans don't want to hear that, but I've said it for a long time. They're a distant fourth, and it's quite showing. And if they lose to FSU over Bama. Thank you, Duncan Darius and WRW Pitt. FSU over Alabama, Georgia Tech over Colorado, and then Miami over Notre Dame. And then the Clemson LSU game was close. Syracuse won, and Tennessee, I wouldn't call that close. And then the third loss was I can't remember the third loss now, guys. Cuse lost. Trying to think of the third game. Cuse lost, Clemson lost, and there's another one that's on there. I can't remember it, though, but the Big 12 right now, 1-3. If the Big 12 loses, if TCU loses to North Carolina, a whole new team with Bill Belichick. Oh, yeah, Virginia Tech. Yeah, Virginia Tech looked like shit. I mean, guys, in this new age of college football, Virginia Tech's never coming back. I mean, that quarterback, I had him ranked 7th. If you guys go back into Northwestern lost to Tulane. Tulane kicked the shit out of Northwestern. I mean, that was hilarious. And it was at Northwestern. Rutgers almost lost. Rutgers should have lost to Ohio if they wouldn't have called a bullshit holding call. So Ohio almost beat Rutgers. Wisconsin almost lost. I mean, please, there's some tough games in there, man. That's not good for the Big Ten. Indiana struggled. But I think overall, Virginia Tech, I had their quarterback ranked 7th in the ACC. That was being pretty generous. And Virginia Tech fans were just jumping all over me in the comment section. You guys go to my videos and go down and see, my top 10 ACC quarterbacks. I had him at number 7. He probably should be lower than 7. I mean, the dude couldn't hit even open receivers. Same thing. Haynes King missed some guys too, because Georgia Tech fans were on me. He missed a lot of open guys too. But overall, the win column is Florida State, Miami, and I'm already forgetting the third team again, guys. What the shit? Florida State, Miami, and Georgia Tech. So you have those 3 teams: FSU, Georgia Tech, and Miami. Those 3 won the game, which is huge. So we'll see. I was telling a Virginia Tech friend of mine that they never built a program like Beamer did the NIL era. They haven't adjusted in the new era, all roster building. Yeah, Will, but also, just they're struggling with NIL, man. I mean, they had a desperate meeting about a week ago talking about how their budget right now is 144 to compete in the ACC. They need 200 million. I hate to be them, brother. That's tough. That is tough. Peninsula P, yes. But appreciate it, guys. We're an hour in. The North Carolina game is starting here. We'll be cheering on the ACC over the Big 12 for another ACC win over the Big 12. This will be fun to watch. But right now, the Big 12 1-3, the ACC 3-3, the Big 10 2-1, and then the SEC 4-2 right now. But it's going to be good, guys. It's going to be a fun weekend here. But it's going to be fun to watch. But overall, it's been a great. If North Carolina can cap this off, tremendous weekend. 4-3 for the ACC and the Power 4. I told people it's going to be a hard schedule for Pitt this year. People are like, I don't know. Well, there you go. Who we didn't expect Florida State to get a big win. Miami got a big win. Georgia Tech got a big win on the road, going from Georgia to Colorado. Big win there. Clemson was in a tight game with LSU. Syracuse, no, didn't get to keep it close. Virginia Tech was at least somewhat close, but I think South Carolina is not as good as what people think. But Virginia Tech is certainly not good. So there it is. How good is Louisville? Louisville's damn good. Louisville's pretty good. I actually chalked them up as a loss on the schedule. I got Pitt 3-0 and then going into Louisville, having a week off, and then facing Louisville at home and losing to Louisville. That's how good Louisville is. They got Miller Moss at quarterback, the transfer out of USC. I think they got a good quarterback there, and I think a really good team. And just Jeff Brom is a very good offensive coach and a quarterback guru. But, guys, I don't see any more super chats. 7 super chats tonight. Cannot thank you guys enough. Brian, appreciate you. Another Wombat. Will, Pitman, Zach, RJC, man. Appreciate you guys with the super chats, and appreciate everybody else with all the great comments and questions. Guys, it's been another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. You guys make the show great. We're trying to grow the show to now 1,500 subscribers to 2,000. Share this video, like this video, subscribe to the show, like this video, and share it with your friends. Share it on Facebook, X, everywhere, and let's get it going. Guys, cannot thank you enough for another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Guys, as always and forever, hail to Pitt and hail to the ACC. I'll see you guys next time.